It's Ped and Baz time, a fan's perspective on Everton's lack of transfer activity. Peter McPartland and Barry Cass from Toffee TV are with us. Good afternoon, or it's afternoon at least, for you two. I know you've been gutted for most of the season, but specifically about the failure to bring anybody in on deadline day. Ped, how are you feeling?
Well, I got a bit exhausted, to be honest, after yesterday. It felt like a very, very long day with absolutely no news, and I'm exhausted with the whole experience of being an Everton at the moment. It just feels really soul-destroying, and listening to former players there talk about it with such passion, that's what we've been doing for the last month or so, and it really is really hard to be an Everton at the moment. They're giving us absolutely nothing. There's no results on the pitch. Obviously, we've got a new manager. But not having new players when we desperately need them, that shows that there's something very, very wrong at this football club, and we really have to get to the bottom of what's going on.
As we know that they did try, we know that we talked about Anthony Elanga, Ismail Assar, they were linked with Olivier Giroud, so they were trying, weren't they?
Well, apparently, yeah, and I'm sure they were, but when you're trying to get players with 3 hours to go for transfer window, then your success rate comes right down. I think the biggest question for me is, first, well, there's two things really. One is the communication. I think the football club could have communicated better with the supporters before the window opened how little money they had to spend, which would have set expectation. And secondly, Anthony Gordon's kind of indicated he's been speaking to Newcastle for a while. So if that was the case, then surely the football club would have known that, and therefore should have set a deadline, giving themselves enough chance in the window to spend the money. It's what, in the summer, we had this situation with Chelsea where we give them a deadline, they didn't meet it, Anthony Gordon wasn't for sale, and we've ended up selling a player with a couple of days to go the window, and then because we've got that extra money, scampering round for people to, for clubs. Clubs aren't going to sell players who are of a good quality when there's 2 hours to go with the window, because how are they going to replace them? And they're the questions that I'd certainly like answered.
And Ped, does it not feel a little bit as though, at the moment, players worth their salt do not want to come and play for Everton Football Club?
No, I don't know why anyone would want to play for Everton Football Club at the moment. The situation is toxic, but it's toxic because the club have made it toxic. There's a lot of talk about the fans, and we've seen more, demonstrations last night at the training ground and at Goodison Park. The fans are not the issue, and never will be the issue, and never have been the issue. Their anger is a byproduct of the football club, and this can't go on any longer. We're out of the transfer window now. We've appointed a manager, and I would say now it's up to the board now to make some decisions. I personally call on certain members of the board to resign. Graham Sharp is a legend of the football club. I don't think his role on the board is tenable anymore. I think he should be looking at himself as an ex-player, as a legend, and thinking, what am I doing here? Who am I backing? Am I doing any good? Because we've just had silence. There's no communication. So now that everything's been done, now that we can't sign any players, now that the manager's in, I think it's time for people to step down, because what they've done in the last month, I honestly, the anger that has been pouring through me in the last month after suggestions by the Everton board, certainly before the Southampton game, of certain incidents happening at Goodison Park that don't seem to have any, there's no evidence in them, and yet the fans are being blamed again and again from the outside looking in. People must point fingers and go, what's going on at Everton Football Club? But when you're in it and you see the way it's being played out, these people have broken my heart, truly, of how they've treated this football club and how they've treated the fans, more importantly, because we've been used as the scapegoat. Our fans have been used as the scapegoat in all of this. And those 4 board members have to look at themselves, and obviously the owner has to look at, more importantly. And we had an interview last week. He promised us a new striker. It wasn't delivered. So we're getting lies. We're being manipulated. I believe the media are being manipulated in all this as well. And it's making us look like we're the toxic part of the football club, and we're not. It's the owner and it's the board.
So, Ped, if Denise Barrett-Baxendale and Bill Kenwright and Mr Mashiri himself are thinking of coming to see the Arsenal game on Saturday, what do you say to them?
Don't. Stay away. I don't want you there. I don't think the fan base want you there. It's not your club. It really isn't your club. It's our club. And we want to give Sean Dyche the best welcome possible on Saturday. We want to give him and the players every chance of winning that game. We will back the players all day long. We're going to back the team all the rest of the season like we did last season. We don't need you there as the distraction. You're the bad guys in this. You know, the players have been poor this season, but it's up to them to perform now. That'll only happen with our backing, and we will give them that backing. But if you're there, you become a distraction. So, for me, those people should never show their faces at Goodison Park ever again, as far as I'm concerned, for what they've done to us as a fan base in the last month.
So, Baz, can Sean Dyche still turn this round with the players that he's got?
Well, it's going to be more difficult, obviously. I'm sure he was hoping for a couple of additions yesterday to give him more firepower. Scoring goals has been Everton's problem all season. We're going to have to hope and pray Dominic Calvert-Lewin stays fit. I think what Sean Dyche will do is get Everton organised. And like Ped's just said, the fans will back him. The fans will back the team, regardless of other issues. You can do both. You can be unhappy with the board and want the owner to make change or change himself, still back the team, and that's what will happen. And Sean Dyche and the Everton team will need our backing, and they'll get it. And Sean Dyche has got experience of working down the bottom before. This is a big task for him. But we shouldn't forget we are only one win away from 14th place at the moment. So we're not dead and buried yet, but it's going to be really difficult, and it was made more difficult by no new signings yesterday. But we will be behind Sean Dyche, and hopefully that'll be enough to keep us up.
Barry Cass and Peter McPartland from Toffee TV, we feel your passion. Thanks for talking to us.